So I get a lot of comments talking about my electricity bill, and the fact is that it's probably really high. Okay, there may be a lot of stuff around here, but not all of it's on at the same time. I don't just walk in the morning and go, doo. That would be pretty ridiculous. I know there's some studios out there that actually do that, that actually turn on things that haven't been used for like months, just daily. I mean, that just sounds preposterous to me. But anyway, I figured it would be kind of good to kind of work out what kind of energy consumption some of these older machines use compared to newer machines, like studio equipment in general compared to normal appliances. So let's give it a go. How are we going to do that? Well, we're going to measure the amps. So we're going to use this, which is a digital clamp meter, and it kind of measures the amperage that's going through a wire. And the thing is you only really use a kettle for like a minute when you use a like PlayStation for, you know, 10 hours if you're that way inclined. This isn't going to be 100% quantifiable, but I really want to find out how much energy some of these things use. So what I need to do is I need to get this extension cable, and I need to get my knife, and I need to snip it down the middle. Oh, I hope I don't slice the wire accidentally. This is probably going to make some people cringe. This is a mains cable. Oh, look at all that. I love the like weird talcum powder that's inside this stuff. Right, so what you have in here are the 3 different wires for the mains. And all we need to do now is take the digital clamp multimeter and just pop it on either the blue or the brown, just around like that, and we're able to measure the amps that are kind of running through that wire. So I'm going to start with an obvious comparison, you know, the kind of thing that you know one's going to suck more power than the other, but I don't really know what yet. I've got an idea! Yeah, that's right, the light bulb. This is an incandescent light bulb. It's coloured yellow, but nevertheless it's an incandescent one. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go over there and I'm going to plug it in, and we're going to look at how many amps this thing saps, and I'm going to write on a pen and we're going to pop it on the leaderboard. Anyway, let's go. Oh, whoa! So 0.43 amps for the incandescent light bulb, and 0.43 times 240 is like, that's like 100 watts. I don't know whether that maths is right. I'm going to check after, and if I've got a sad face over the top of my face right now, I've definitely done the maths equation completely wrong. Anyway, let's unplug the and plug in the energy-saving light bulb. This one, we know, may sap less, so let's find out. Wow. That's ridiculous. Are you for real? So I'm just going to put 0.03 so it's at least a number. So we got 0.03. It's as clear as day. You know, it's like the light has been turned on. So yeah, time for... Oh my God. Looks hopefully deceive as this beautiful 1960s design of a piece of test equipment that actually makes a woo, 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 woo. I'm only going to plug it in. I'm not going to get the noise coming out. We're just going to see how much energy this thing actually saps. Anyway, let's turn this on and see how much this saps. Are you ready, people? Okay. Wow. And this is heating up. I can imagine it probably saps different amounts of current as it heats up. But right now, we're at 0. Oh no, it's going up quite quickly as it heats up. Let's just let it heat up for a mo. Because it takes about 20 seconds for it to actually function. Wow. Wow. Okay, so this, actually surprisingly, after fiddling it and letting it warm up, it has gone down and settled at after a while at 0.36 amps. So this Brawl & Cure is actually more power efficient than using just your standard 100 watt yellow light bulb. Oh, 100 watt, my maths did work earlier. That uses a lot less than a fairground ride with all of those light bulbs on them. But needless to say, the Brawl & Cure actually has a second function. Oh yes, the actual Brawl & Cure acts as a very good heater. You're right, it does like make a lot of heat, so it seems only right to compare that to a normal heater, a fan heater. Okay, so time for the heater. This is the normal appliance. Let's see if the Brawl & Cure is more of a wise choice to heat your house than, you know, your trusty grandma's heater. Let's let it warm up for a little bit and see if it evens off. Whoa! Holy moly! 7.5 amps. That's awful. That kind of chucks everything out the window. Like, I'm not turning that thing on again. Holy moly. And this probably doesn't heat the room as well as all of these Brawl and Cures. All really quickly. On. All of these. Let's turn all of these on. Okay, how many amps am I using? That's just madness. So every single one of those Brawl and Cures, which are from the 1960s and are probably quite renowned for being energy sapping, you're just ridiculously unpractical machines. Every single one of those plugged in is about, I'm going to write 3 amps, is 3 amps. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's a lot of them. So, hot wall of test equipment. That's mad. So you would be better off warming up your house with these Brawl and Cures than this thing that you can still purchase from the shop. This thing uses more than twice the amount of energy that this whole wall uses. Thought I was going to be surprised with some of the actual findings in this test, but I didn't think I was going to be that surprised. Right, so that goes in the middle, and that's that whole wall. So looks do deceive. So now we have the studio monitor. What we're going to do is we're going to times it by 2 because people have 2 speakers usually. I kind of expect this to use quite a lot because it's moving, especially with low bassy sounds. This might be quite sappy, but we'll find out. So I'm going to turn it on initially. This is the standby. At standby, it's at 0.06, but usually there's noise moving through it. So we're going to have some sound playing through it now. Let's get going. Okay, now go low. Play the lowest note you can. Oh yeah, get really low. Get the sun. Yeah. Okay. Whoa. Well, as you saw, the vibrations there. The more the vibrations, the amperage was turning up. So it kind of means that, yeah. The more heavy bass in your music, the more of an enemy you are. So there we go. That's you've heard it here first, folks. So studio monitors, 1.0 amps for reasonably loud. I'm going to times it by 2 because you have 2 studio monitors. So that's 2 amps for studio monitors. I'm going to put that just about below wall of test equipment. Oh yeah. Okay. So let's try the polar opposite of this studio monitor. This is a 1940s aircraft radio. And yeah, it's probably quite a hungry beast because it has numerous amounts of valves inside it and whatnot. So I'm going to turn it on. We can't tune it in because there's no radio plugged into it, but even if there was, you're not going to get any modern things. You only get like whispers of classical music in the distance. Okay, it seems quite a constant 0.3 amps. Right, next up we have this Cog Ms1000. So this is a 1970s synthesizer. You know, it's famed for probably, you know, it's like any old tech. We all think it's not very good for energy consumption. Anyway, let's try and turn this on and see what happens. So I'm going to turn this on now. Is it on? Wow. Amazing. So this turns out to use on this kind of meter, you can't really get the small amounts of amperage used. It's kind of what I should have used a more accurate one, but whatever. But this one right now has the same as the LED light. Well, it's using less than the LED light because the LED light was flickering between 0 and 3. This one uses, on this scale, MS10, 0.00. However, let's find out how this MS10 shapes up to a modern synthesizer of a similar ilk. This is the Moog Grandmother. This is a modern kind of monophonic synthesizer, and it uses a slightly different power supply technique, a more modern approach to power supply, but let's see. Bear in mind, the Grandmother does have a handful of digital electronics inside there, but let's see. Oh, jeez. Next up, drum machines. So here we have a modern drum machine. It's called the Arturia Drum Brute Impact. How much energy do you reckon the Drum Brute Impact uses? Let's have a peek. Okay, an understandable 0.03 amps, but does that change when we actually use it and press play? Let's find out. No, it doesn't change. 0.03 amps. Okay, now it's time to see how this modern drum machine compares to the Lindrum, the one that hums. Its power supply hums. It's so hungry, in my mind anyway, that the power supply has its own scream of pain. Ah! It's not that bad, but it's still a lot more than modern. I'm Prince. Yeah, this is 0.2 amps. That's the Lindrum. Okay. Obviously the kettle is only used for a small chunk of time at any one time. You're only going to be making your cup of tea once in a while. Right, let's turn it on. Okay, you ready for the kettle? Whoa! I'm going to put that at, 8.95 amps. Anyway, we are going to go to a little bit more of interesting town. Let's say we were in the 1990s and we were using Crt monitors for the computers in the studio. So here we have an average sized Crt TV. I'm just going to turn it on. I'm not going to plug anything into it yet. Let's just find out how much it is when we have the actual flyback transformer turning on. When you hear that high noise. Are you ready? Okay. Wow. That's quite amazing. So we got 0.16 when nothing's running through it. Right, we're going to plug in the PlayStation. Where's the PlayStation? We're going to use this PlayStation and we're going to plug that into the same extension cable, so we're going to be measuring both of them at once. And that's because you're not going to just be using a CRT and you're not just going to be using a PlayStation. You're going to be using both at the same time. So let's turn on the PlayStation and see what this whole thing kind of does. Wow. But that's quite amazing. So the actual PlayStation on top of the TV only uses about 6 amps. So that means altogether we've got 0.22 amps, which actually goes in between the Lindrum and the 1940s aircraft radio. You know, it's still absolute peanuts compared to a heater. What about gaming in the modern world?
Give me a prediction for this one.
You know what? I actually think that my prediction is, I think the flat screen and the PlayStation 3, because we're going to use the PlayStation 3, be a bit more modern. I think this is going to use more energy. Oh, it's on. Oh, that's quite surprising. So this is a similar size to that CRT monitor that you just saw a little bit earlier. And that CRT on its own was using 0.16 amps. This one uses 0.13. It's about the same. It's only a little bit less. I'm going to get that. We've got a modern game of sorts. I don't really know any of these things. There was a choice between Call of Booty and Red Dead Redemption or something. I chose Call of Booty. Don't know what it does. No real change there. Oh, it's gone up a little bit. Now I've got to find the on switch. Is there even an on switch? Oh. Is that it turning on? Oh, it's thinking. Whoa, there's no comparison. Okay, this isn't even playing a game yet. I don't think we're even going to get to the game, which probably is a little bit more CPU intensive than this lovely home screen. But we have got an impressive 0.64 amps. You are using more energy whilst playing your games in the modern world than you were in the 90s. Anyway, since we're on the technology thing, let's go and look at modern computers versus old school computers. Let's do that now. This is going to be fun. Right now, we have Johnny. Say hello, Johnny.
Hello.
Right now, we have his editing computer that was brand new a couple of months ago, but needless to say, it's taken a little tumble. I'm going to plug in this iMac and see where we're at. I've got to find the on switch as well. Right, let's turn it on. Is it? Okay, okay, okay. That's quite impressive, actually. Actually, the more it's thinking, the more amps it's using, which is going to make it difficult to actually make a quantifiable result. But when Ableton is running and doing a little bit of thinking on one plugin, which is, you know, we're going to do that because it's the studio, 0.35 amps. So yeah, 0.35 amps for iMac running Ableton. So we are going to put that, just about the same. I mean, it's more useful than a Brul & Kjær, but it's about the same as a Brul & Kjær. Quite amazing. It's no surprise there, really. It kind of answers what it does. And it's about 100 watts. Oh, God. But now it's time to find out how that stands up against a reasonably old computer. Oh, God. With a TV built inside it. So this is basically the equivalent of an iMac in 1978. So let's see what the equivalent of an iMac in 1978 did. Have we gone back in time, or have we, understandably, gone forwards in time? Oh my God! That's insane. Okay, so it's eddying out at a nice 0.18 amps. Now bear in mind the iMac, when it wasn't thinking, was higher than that still. That puts that just below the Lindrum, but yeah. So, yeah, okay, this thing can't do as much as the iMac running Ableton, but just interesting. I really thought that was going to sap so much more current. I was so surprised by that heater. And the fact is, it's a fan heater that I wanted to check whether it kind of stands up against a more common heater that you would find at like a university dorm, or, you know, just somebody in an attic kind of has this on kind of constantly, this kind of heater. So I'm just going to plug this in and see how we get. Bear in mind, this turns itself on and off when it gets to that certain heat, so we're not going to get a very definite reading, but we'll get a rough ballpark, and I'm going to divide it by 2 so it kind of evens out between when it's on and when it's off to kind of make sure it's at the same temperature. Okay, yeah, there's no surprise there. 7 amps. Divide that by 2 because these things usually turn themselves on and turns themselves off kind of half and half, so I'm going to bring that down to 3.5, even though this isn't really how you're supposed to measure it, amps an hour, but whatever. There's another normal appliance that I want to test that is used quite a lot. Bear in mind, it's not used all the time constantly, and that is the microwave. But the thing is when you're in a studio and you're writing a song, you don't have every single piece of equipment on at loads of a time. You're like, with the Lindrum, you're merely cooking beats for about 5 minutes, and then you record it. And with like a synthesizer, you're like, you know, put it in on simmer for about 20 minutes. You know, it's not like everything's always on. The only things that are always on are usually the studio monitors and the computer and stuff, if you're in a modern one. Oh, let's turn it on. Okay, it's already on, and we've got 5 amps for the microwave. So let's recap what we've got here. Right at the top, without much surprise, is the kettle. Then we've got the original fan heater. This is at 7.53 amps. Bear in mind, we're not measuring amps an hour here. We're just kind of, I'm just eyeballing the averages, but you kind of get a rough ballpark. You're not going to get this average wrong and say it's 1 amp, are you? The next one, microwave, 5 amps. Yeah, again, you're not going to be using this all the time. However, you're probably going to be using this microwave about the same amount of time as you use a Lindrum. This is the bit that surprised me the most, and this is what the whole reason why I wanted to shoot this video, was that whole wall of test equipment. I was expecting that whole wall of test equipment, as many other people were expecting it to do, was to sap the power out of everything. But the fact is, this probably generates more heat than that heater. It's less than half the amount of power usage. So yeah, get a wall of test equipment if you want to save money on your heating bill. This is the bits that surprised me, is we've got next up is the flat screen. When it's off, it's only 0.13 amps, but when we're using the power-hungry PS3, it's at 0.64 amps. You could be playing that thing for days. You could be playing that for ages. But the thing is back in the 90s, oh, we had it right. This TV, the TVs, the Crt monitor, as well as a flat screen, use about the same. 0.16 on the Crt, 0.13 on the flat screen, but the PS1 added on top of that it only goes up to 0.22. This uses 4 times as much. The modern equivalent of gaming uses 4 times as much power as it did in the 90s. Anyway, we go to the actual lighting. Where does the actual light in the room kind of way up around here? So we've got old school lights, you know, like the incandescent normal light bulbs. This is a 100-watt light bulb. And yeah, if you do the maths, it works out about the same. But 0.43 amps, which is 100 watts. This kind of puts the actual light, the old school light, less than the PS3. So a modern monophonic synthesizer, bear in mind it has a handful of digital things inside it, so it will probably use a little bit more power, is a Moog Grandmother. This uses a tiny 0.05 amps. But, the equivalent, sort of, in 1978 is the sort of MS-10, and amazingly, the MS-10's amperage usage didn't even show up. Yeah. 0.00. Pop that in your vape pen and smoke it, kids. So now we've seen all this with the heater, the microwave at the top, and then the wall of test equipment, studio monitors, flat screen, old light, iMac, Brawler Cure, 940s radio, PS1, Lindrum, Moog, Drum Brute, and then down to the MS-10, which is the least kind of power hungry thing I've ever seen. You could probably, that's ridiculous. How does this all compare to the thing that gets the most comments about power usage? How does this compare to the Game Boy Mega Machine? I don't know yet. I've got to plug it in, but we're going to find out. Is it on?
Yeah, everything's on.
Is it all flashing?
Yep.
The Game Boys are on. You won't be able to see them on, but let's see how much it uses. Okay, so the Game Boy Mega Machine, with everything that's currently in it turned on, uses less than an iMac. It uses less than an old light and less than a flat screen and a PS3. A sexy 0.24. So the funny thing is with the Game Boy Mega Machine is when you're commenting saying, I'd hate to see how much that stuff is sapping. Well, the fact is, whilst I'm playing it, you're actually using more energy watching me play the Game Boy Mega Machine on YouTube than I am using to play it. Mind blown. Whew, it's getting hot in here. Thankfully, I've got these Brawls kind of heating up the room, and I feel good because I know that these Brawler Cures use less energy than, you know, a normal heater, so I'm laughing. Anyway, if you want to see more of these comparisons of like energy consumption, because it's actually very surprising, it's sort of going against like assumptions that I have and other people have. So yeah, if you want to see more of that, please let me know. And if you really want to save the planet, get yourself an MS-10.
Just